Yes, we are now live in effect. This is a Homes Under the Hammer time special. I got my guy Martin Roberts. I'm very happy to even meet you. I'm a bit starstruck.
Oh my God! Wow!
Yo, Mo, it's a pleasure.
How you keeping, bro? How you keeping, man?
You know, I'm all right. You know, it's been like for everybody. It's been blooming awful being in this lockdown rubbish. I've got a couple of young kids, so it's really tough on them.
Okay.
And in terms of Homes Under the Hammer, we stopped filming for like 6 months until we figured out how to do it. But we've managed to find a way, COVID friendly, you know, socially distanced, one cameraman and me wandering around the same dumps in wherever it is.
Yeah. Now, but before I get into Homes Under the Hammer, yeah, Martin, yeah, I don't know what it is about you, right, yeah, but you're funny without being funny. And it's such a pleasure to watch in the morning.
Well, I thank you for saying that. That's a great compliment coming from somebody of your skills in terms of comedy. So thank you. You know, I just took the decision at the start just to try and be me. And you know, what you see pretty much, Mo, is what I do first take.
And how did it start for you, Homes Under the Hammer? Because from what I'm aware of, I think it started. Was it 2013? I think it might have started, or even before that, 2003 or something like that.
No, yeah, 2003. So this year is our 18th year anniversary.
Wow.
I think we made 10 shows.
Yeah.
And then people really warmed to it. And I think, I don't know, you know, to keep on going for so long, I mean, it's quite a trick, really. But I think it's because it reports what's going on, and auctions are always interesting. The people are always a bit, you know, they've always got stories to tell.
Yeah.
And, you know, I still love it. Every house is different, and I just try and find something fun to say about every place I visit.
So you've been there from the start, right?
I have.
And I feel like within lockdown, it's definitely had a boom within this millennial generation. So talk to me about that. Do you think there's been a surge in people really getting onto Homes Under the Hammer a little bit more?
Well, I think probably people have been at home and sort of at a time of day when they normally would be working. Yeah. And I suppose, you know, they think, oh God, I'm so cheesed off. I'm just going to watch a bit of telly for a bit of light relief. And then they discover Homes Under the Hammer. I mean, we've been really blessed with a hugely loyal audience over the years. I mean, you know, on one day, I remember it one bank holiday, we were the most watched programme throughout the entire day on BBC One, and it had like a 36% audience share, you know, and it's just crazy, and you know, and here it still is, and you know, I'm really proud of that. But lockdown has definitely introduced a few more people to the fold, and that's I'm sorry about the circumstances that they've discovered it in, but you know, it's nice to know that people are really loving it. And in terms of millennials, there was this amazing research by YouGov which discovered that amongst millennials, like, believe this or not, you know, you might say what completely rubbish, but it's more popular than Game of Thrones and Peaky Blinders and Killing Eve combined.
Wow.
I'm like, wow.
I believe it. Because I think for me, what's attracted me to the show, one, just in property in general, there's a lot of things I've learned, you know, make sure you read the pack, you know, buying grade 2 listed buildings is quite hard to get planning permission. I've learned this purely by watching Homes Under the Hammer. So I must thank you and the team for that.
Have you bought some houses?
I haven't bought a house yet.
Come on, Mo.
Yes. But every time I look at a house, I'm like, oh man, it might have damp. I've seen Homes Under the Hammer.
You know, there's always a way to fix things. And, you know, but that is one of the great things about the show, I think, is that it does have a takeaway value. You know, people who watch, it isn't grand. I love grand designs, but you know, you'd have to have quite a lot of money and, you know, these massive projects. And you know, we feature things that are a lot more approachable, a lot more realistic, you know,
Yes.
and especially in this time when people are worried about their income and thinking about, you know, insecurities. I actually think property can be a way to maybe supplement your income. You know, I actually do property training courses to teach people how to do it. But I think even just by watching Homes Under the Hammer, you kind of see normal people doing it. And that sort of inspires. And I've met loads of people over the years who come up to me and say, you know, I actually started in it and I bought my first house because of you, and I've actually done very well nicely. And thank you very much.
So you see with Homes Under the Hammer, right? When we're watching these programs, like for especially Homes Under the Hammer, when we're watching it, we're seeing people buy, you know, a 15 grand property, and then they come back, you know, sometimes you guys visit them 2 years later. You know, how is that process for you guys? Because you guys kind of forget them, You know, there's a few regulars I see on the show. There's sometimes people I see on the show who just purely want to be on it. It's almost like I've gone to an auction to buy a house just to meet you guys. You know?
we have actually had a few people who've actually going to their processes to be on Homes of the Hammer. That's a bit extreme. But I mean, one of the great things about the longevity of the show, because 17 years, is that we can leave properties for a long period of time. So we've been back to things 7 years later. I say it's always a bit of a shock when imagine you seeing you on telly, what you look like.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, did I really wear those clothes? Did I really have my hair like that? And but it's quite funny to go back. But there's so many characters. You mean either the people who buy or the people who the people like the estate agents and the auctioneers. Who've become a little bit of a cult in their own right over the years. And there's that sort of. Well, one of the things I think hopefully people like about it and know is that we'll never take the mickey out of people. We'll never laugh at them. We'll never make them seem stupid. But we will raise an eyebrow when they say, as one guy did in Swindon, in this particular it was a semi-detached, and he was going to do a full redecorate. He was going to put a new central heating system in, double glazing throughout. He was going to build an extension, rewire, put a new kitchen and a bathroom in. And I said, what's your budget? And he said 2,000 quid. So, I sort of raise an eyebrow, but the viewer at home is going, you are Aberdal.
And I think that's what brought me to start doing Homes Under the Hammer Time, because I would normally watch it in my bed, and then I started just filming myself. Watching my TV as I watch it, and I do this commentary. And weirdly enough, people said, "Oh man, this is so funny." So I turned it into more of like a YouTube series, because there's loads of reaction videos, but I like reacting to things that I generally like. But at the same time, what the program does, it teaches people. So there's a part of me that likes to feel that I'm, if I'm teaching someone about something, like this is what they're saying on Homes of the Hammer, read the guide pack, and plus I think at a time where what I really like about Homes Under the Hammer, for me, it's a show it's almost like for the working class a little bit. Yeah. Grand design is great, but sometimes the aspirations of these houses don't feel like it's in reach. But sometimes when you see someone buy a house that costs 15 grand and then they flipped it to 30 grand, you're like, whoa, I want to get into this field, Yeah. So how did you discover my Homes Under the Hammer Time? I'm so intrigued because I had Martel tweet me the other day. I'm still waiting for Dion. So and now have you ever seen an episode of my Homes Under the Hammer Time?
And listen, I want to tell you what is wrong with the way I do at my coat. Is you're always having a go at the bottom button thing. Look, I'm a property expert. I'm not blooming a designer. I don't know how to do up my coat. What is the cool way to do up your coat, Mo? Because the first thing you say is, isn't that a nice house? Oh, look, he's got his bottom button and his coat done. I'm like, lay off the coat, Mo. Listen to what I'm saying about the property, the damn.
No, but Martin, man.
Bob done.
Sometimes I watch it and I'm like, because I'll be honest, yeah?
Yeah.
You're one of my favorites because you know why you're one of my favorites, right? Because sometimes I'm looking at you, right? And I can see someone saying, yeah, who's gonna do the work? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And you have this look on your face, right? Where I feel like you're like us, where you're like, oh, really? Okay. But let's get onto the coat, yeah? Yes. I don't know if you're not ready, if you're like, cut, action. I know it's how we on set. But you have this thing where I've seen it more than once, where there's one button on the bottom of the coat. And when I mean it's a pet peeve, there's times I'm like, come on, man. Why can't the producer just say, Martin, your bottom button is up? Oh, man.
I need to take some lessons, okay?
So, right about now, I've got episode of yourself. So we're going to do a watch along of Homes Under the Hammer Time. Times of it, I'll just pause it. I might ask you questions and stuff. Then I've got some other videos I want to show. Just a few surprises. Nothing that's embarrassing or anything. But here they are. Here is an episode of Homes Under the Hammer Time. It's got yourself, Martel, Dion. I've cut it up a little bit, so got the intro here.
Do you search How's the button there? Is that wrong or right?
You know what? That button's okay. See, the button's all right on here, Martin. But I'm gonna be honest, yeah. The three of you here, if you change the sky, make it a bit darker, you guys could definitely get yourself an ITV crime drama, 100%, man. 100%, Martin, man.
The contrast in between this bit that we do, which we always film at like a posh hotel or a stately home.
Yeah.
And I love the contrast between we go from this to some rat-infested, dog dirt smelling, poo-filled, two down terrace somewhere horrible. And I think it's just a great contrast. This is
funny because I've never really realized that, but now you've said it. You always start in these great locations, gardens, forest, or somewhere. Yeah. And then it's the cut scenes on this program. I think this is why people like it so much, because it's not glossy. It's like a program that is still, it's got, it started in 2003, and I still feel like I'm watching a program from 2003. And I think that's what people like. There's a nostalgia element to this program,
Yeah.
So Martin.
Now what's wrong here? This isn't about houses anymore. It's about what I'm wearing.
No, Martin. You know what? When we done the Watchalong, I said, all right, cool. I got to get an episode with Martin. So now the swag, yeah, Martin. This is why I like you, Martin, yeah? Because you got the floral shirt on, you got your tight jeans on, and I'm a fan of the tight jeans with the Chelsea boots. I need you to talk me through some of these outfits sometimes, Martin, man.
So I don't know where the floral shirt started out. I think it was a contrast to some of the really dark and dingy properties that we were featuring. And I thought, I've got to brighten this up somehow. And I think somebody bought me a really, really bright shirt. One day I was just thinking, oh, sod it, I don't care. I'm going to wear this. I put it on. And actually, you know what? I thought it looked quite nice. And then it's just become a thing. So now the shirts are generally a bit interesting. And they're probably, if you look back at some of the old stuff, they're probably looking pretty out of date. And probably some people would say they were never in date. But my argument is, this is not a fashion design show. This is a property show.
Do you know what I like? That you've owned it. You've owned it. But I always had to ask. I need to know about these floral shirts, the Chelsea boot. I need to know from you, Martin. Is it a stylist you got doing this, or is it your own vibe?
No,
you're owning it, man.
This is a daytime TV show. No stylist, no makeup.
Yeah.
Nobody, I write my own scripts. In fact, there aren't any.
Okay.
Whatever I say is just basically coming out of my mouth the first time I see it. So I don't try to go around the properties too much before we film. The cameraman will set up the lights and stuff, but then I'll go in and I'll say what I see. And because I am actually a property developer, because I do this, I can hopefully give my initial impressions, and it makes a lot of sense. So I don't need somebody to write scripts for me, and I don't think it would be the same if it was scripted, because it's the funny stuff that happens out of nowhere, and the ums and ers and the making up as I go along that hopefully makes it a little bit endearing, along with the Chelsea boots, the tight jeans, and the interesting good choice of shirts. Double glazing is fairly new, obviously. This is a good one.
This was a good property.
Yeah. Oh, apart from the fact, I think the whole thing was sinking.
The house was sinking.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was built on a swamp in that classic Monty Python fashion. And that whole of this estate had been built on, I think, on some kind of a quarry. And
wow!
I got a feeling that there were issues with the foundations in some of the properties. So on the face of it, it looked great.
Yeah.
But there was trouble under the foundations.
Oh my! Because I remember, do you know what? With this episode, right, when I was looking back at it, I was like, "This is a lovely house. This isn't really a house you see." And I think that's what I kind of like with Homes in the Hammer time. Well, I say Homes in the Hammer, sorry. You find a lot of properties that aren't in great condition. So sometimes when I watch it with good condition, I'm like, "Oh, this is a bit different. This isn't normally the norm." But what you're saying, built on a swamp. Wow! Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah.
Check the foundation.
There are all properties that are sold at auction aren't necessarily rubbish. They're just sold at auction for various reasons. People wanting to act quickly. There's various organisations like housing associations, government bodies that need to sell at auction. So it's not just what it used to be, which is, or people used to think it was, which is just all the dross is sold at auction. And I think one of the things that the Homes and the Hammer's done is demystify that. But when you see a brand spanking new property there, I'm sort of going, okay, so I want to know a bit more about why is this here, and it could be it's a serious structural issue. So but look at this one. I bet you know if you notice this, the people who'd left had actually taken all the light fittings. Look at the light switch.
Oh yeah. Oh shit!
And they'd taken the lights. There you go. Taken the light switches.
Wow.
And checked the sockets.
For some reason, they've all been taken.
There you go.
Left here, decided.
Totally bizarre.
They took the lights.
Yeah.
That is ghetto, man. How do you take the lights, man?
Yeah, I mean, we've been in places where, unfortunately, somebody's got in between the auction and the person actually moving in there, and we've actually had all the wiring stripped. We've had boilers taken. Really unusual. Sometimes it's things that people leave behind, which is also quite unusual.
Yeah.
But really, one you love it. This was one of my favorite in a weird kind of way. That we went to this was one house, and there was in the kitchen there was a rabbit hutch built into the kitchen units.
Yeah.
So there'd be like dishwasher, fridge, place for your breakfast cereals, rabbit hutch.
Yeah.
So it was like, what went on there? I mean, like it was either, they had like Thumper to be very close, or Thumper was there very close to the pot.
Yeah.
But we did on one occasion go into a property and find a dead body. Can you tell me about that? You know about the dead body?
See, this is the thing, I have this theory that sometimes in these old houses, there's a lot of floorboards. I watched this program called Des on ITV, and he was like a murderer in the 80s, and he was just chopping up bodies and putting them down the sink. So I have this theory that some people's houses, there must be a body in there somewhere. So listen, I'm waiting for the Homes and the Hammer exclusive when there's a dead body and everyone can say, see, Mo told you, innit?
On this occasion, it was actually Grandad who'd been left behind. We found him in the bed. He was asleep. The family had actually left and forgotten to take Grandad with them. So we turned up the film crew and he was snoring in bed. It was like, what? And he woke up and he was like, yeah, and the family had just left. And they'd taken all their belongings. Well, they'd taken the majority of their belongings, but they'd forgotten their Grandad. So he was a bit shocked.
And he was sleeping?
Yeah. So he wakes up and goes, where's my family? And he's talking about his film crew. And his family are all left.
Now, the one thing I always notice on Homes and the Hammer, I've never seen a nice garden. The gardens are always derelict. Have you guys ever come across things in the garden where you're like, oh my gosh, we might have to leave? There's heroin needles in the side.
Well, we have, and some of the houses we visited obviously have been used for all sorts of things before we get there. Yeah. We have definitely been to places where there have been needles in the gardens. And supposedly before they go to auction, they're cleaned up. Somebody's supposed to go in there and sort that out. In this case, they haven't. And I don't know, you can imagine how sometimes the way we film it is I'm walking and the cameraman is walking backwards to be able to film me as I walk. Yeah. And on one occasion, we were filming this particular place, and as he was walking backwards and as I was talking, I just happened to glance down, and he was just about to step on an upturned needle. I was like, no! Imagine the scariness of that. He stopped him and he didn't. So, yeah, I mean, one of the things I always say to people, quite genuinely, is, if you are going around properties, wear wear thick shoes, because you just don't know what you're going to find.
Man, then wear your Timberland boots. Okay.
Exactly.
You've got all sorts of different levels. It's sort of dropping into this area here, and then you come over here, and it's dropping this way, and it's undulating, and just...
Okay, I see what you're saying about this swamp stuff now. Yeah. I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the levels aren't correct on the driveway.
No.
Say no more.
On a modern house, you'd expect it to be good.
Parking space here. What is going on with the foundations of the property? So, most important before you do anything in terms of purchasing this place is get a full structural survey done.
Take home value.
So how important is it if you're buying a property from auction to get like a surveyor in there to really check out the ones and twos? Because I think from us watching this on just TV, it just seems like you can buy a house for 30 grand and flip it for 60. So how important is it to get like check out the foundations and stuff like that?
It's really important to get it checked out by somebody who knows what they're talking about. And that could be a surveyor, that could be a really good builder, or, a friend who's an expert in these things. But, a lot of people say, well, it's too expensive to get a surveyor every time you want to do it, because you might not, bear in mind, you might not actually be successful at the auction. So what I try to get people to is build a team of people who are working with them. And maybe you say to a surveyor, look, I'm going to look at 10 houses, and I might not get them at auction. So for those ones, I don't want you to charge me too much. But say you're going to charge me 500 quid. Well, for those ones, charge me 100 quid. But on the ones I am successful at, I'm going to give you a couple of grand. And so they buy into your story, because you really don't want to mess it up and buy a pup. You do want to be careful. That comes with experience, but definitely get people around you who can help.
Are there any horror stories of people buying a property for like 30 grand and it's basically worthless?
So there was one couple who bought this house and they didn't know, well, they thought they knew where it was, and they bought blind, which means they hadn't seen it, right? Which I always think is crazy, because it's a bit like crossing a road with your eyes closed. 9 times out of 10, you might get away with it, but the one time you get hit by something that's really going to bloody hurt. So they turned up where they thought their house that they bought was, right? And it wasn't there.
Yeah. What?
Well, where's the house then?
Yeah.
They ended up sort of driving around the area going, where's the house we bought? So they ended up going to the local postmaster, the post office, because post people know most things. They said, do you know a house that's been sold at auction recently? They said, oh yeah, sure, it's this one down here, blah, blah, blah. They told them where it was. So they drove like 5 miles from where they thought it was, and they found their house. The problem was it had a driveway leading to it, which they didn't have right of access over. So you've got a house with no way of getting to it other than by helicopter. So effectively, you couldn't get to it. You had no right of access to that property legally. So you couldn't drive to it. You couldn't walk to it. You couldn't bounce on a hopper balloon to it. The only way to get to it would be to actually drop down by a helicopter. So they paid 60 grand for something which effectively was worthless, unless they could work out a deal with the neighbour who owned the driveway. And I think in the end they did.
Yeah.
It's always the people who don't. That's why I go on about it. And I say, did you see the property?
Yes.
Did you read the legal pack?
Yes, because sometimes I watch it and people's like, nah, man, I just seen it and bought it. That's crazy.
Yeah. People who bought things which they thought were leasehold or freehold, and they're leasehold, which means that you don't necessarily own the property outright. Yeah, and all sorts of things. Yeah. People who bought properties which they've knocked down because they were turned out to be haunted. That was a spooky one. Yeah, we had a really interesting. Only a couple of times in 17 years have I been well freaked out in a property.
Yeah.
One time, we were filming, and halfway through the interview, the house was like really a bit spooky. It had like ivy coming in through the windows, all sorts of stuff, and obviously hadn't been lived in for a while. And all these security cameras everywhere. And it turns out the guy who lived there was a bit of a Howard Hughes type recluse character, and obviously he didn't like the idea of us being there in his house because he had all these security cameras. He was dead. He died in the house. And halfway through the interview with the new owners, I'm not joking, there was a pendant light on the ceiling. The bulb dropped off, but instead of landing directly underneath, it landed 3 feet away.
Oh, mate.
So it fell like that, bang, smash.
Spirits in the blood clot yard, my guy.
We finished the interview very quickly.
But the spirits. So now the estate agents, listen, man, I'm always here for the estate agents, because some of the estate agents, they just seem like they're just like, I feel like, can I ask you a question? Yeah, you see these estate agents, do they know like what they're, not like what they're talking about, but do they know they're going to be on this program? Because some of them just seem like it's a bit of a waffle. You know what I mean? Like, we got this chap here. I never met this chap before.
Prospects for this 4-bedroom property.
They always look very smart.
Always smart. Always great suits.
Always the right button done up.
I like the fact that we've got parking, something within the development that the home's situated in. Some of the houses here have allocated, as where this one has got the off-street parking to the front. The space that it's got as well, if you are a larger family, it's got 4 double bedrooms.
I mean, I think, given that they're not professional telly people, they do a pretty good job. We tried to give them some advice, and you will only ever see the good bits, but it might take us 10 minutes to get the good bits. We had one a couple of weeks ago that it took us 2 hours to get the good bits.
Oh, wow.
You know, but they're not professional TV people, but I think they actually do a great job.
Well, maybe ideal in terms of the space it offers. Not ideal is the risk of sinking into the ground.
There we go, you see.
It just was to come up within a survey that was done on the home. From my experience, it wouldn't
moving a bit.
Issue to rectify the.
Oh, he's got a bit of swagger. He's got his confidence.
He's jiggling.
Within a timely manner, I'm sure.
Yes, underpinning isn't such a difficult process these days.
You see this bit, right? Yeah. When people walk into the properties, it is one of the best bits of the whole program. To see the people walk in and buy the property, look around, it is unmatched. Like it's like the trademark of Homes Under the Hammer, in my opinion. I love it. I'm always here for it.
Yeah, it's so false in lots of ways, isn't it? And you say to them, just walk into the room and look around, and then walk out again. And it is really difficult to do without seeming like it's not real. The other thing that is when they measure things that there's clearly no need to measure.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you'll get people measuring between 2 imaginary dots on the wall, and you go, "Wow, why are you measuring that then?" It's like, but you know, again, try watching this with the sound down, and it's really, really funny because it's. But you know, give them their due. Again, they're not actors. They're not doing this every day, and they do a good job.
So how much?
Oh look, I'll just open this cupboard. Oh look, there's a.
Let's have a look in that cupboard. Fantastic. We just walk out the room.
And whatever you do, don't look at the camera, is what we say to them. And then they always look at the camera.
In excess of 3.
Do you remember every episode and people that you meet?
So I remember them when I see them again.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't, you know, yes. So it's rare that I look at things and I don't remember doing that, even if it was quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I'd say I've only met a couple of people who have been unpleasant in the entire time I've been doing this.
Okay.
You know, more often than not, people are just lovely.
Because people seem very happy to be on the program. That's what I like about it as well. There's a lot of people like that. They seem really happy to meet you guys, you know?
But there's quite a sort of, to get the people we get, it's quite a lot of work. So, you know, the auctions will be on an average maybe 100. This is when we could actually film at auctions, you know. At the moment, it's all the online stuff. But when we used to go to the auctions, we'd have like 100 lots. And out of that, probably 7 or 8 would make it onto telly. So there's that's 93 or 94 would not happen for some reason. So, you know, people don't have to do it, and we ask them nicely, and obviously it's that by the time they get to do it, they're obviously happy to do it. So
okay. Do you know what program you should make, Martin? You guys should make a Homes Under the Hammer, Where Are They Now? So you go back, and after all these years, and you see where these people are now, like where their properties are. You know, some people bought a street. This is an idea I'm throwing out there. If you need other presenters, I'm here for it, innit? You're there. You'd definitely be great. I think it's a great idea. There's lots of things we could do, like best ofs, like the best, you know, stately home conversions, or the best two-down terrace conversions, or the most expensive conversions. I don't know why we don't do those, because loads of people would love them, and we've got all the material. We've got 17 years worth of footage. You know, I really hope at some point we will do like compilations, because I think they'd be really fascinating. And also, do you know what's quite interesting is to see like some of the properties in the areas that they've done it in now, and you look at the house price now in the current market. And just to see what the inflation is, you know, who might have really lost a bit of money as well. It's definitely a thought, man. It's definitely a thought. Yeah, because we were in places like, well, you know, we were in East London before the Olympics were even, you know, thought about. We were, you know, in some of the northern cities before they took off. You know, definitely, you know. So it would be fascinating. So we should do it. Now, Martin, during lockdown, you became a meme. I don't know if you've seen this. A meme or You've become a meme. How do you feel about becoming a meme? Not everyone becomes a meme, you know?
I was honoured, mate. I laughed myself silly when I first saw it. You know, when you've done a show and you've done about 3,000 interviews, there's lots of other things that could have been picked out and put back to back that I'm sure I've done time and time again.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about the whole piano thing,
man.
You know, I and then somebody went to all the trouble of, you know, putting it to piano music, which it actually looks like it is actually the right notes if my hands were in that position. Yeah. I just thought it was brilliant. Honestly, I loved it. And I was touched the fact it went viral. I mean, you know, I don't know why things go viral, but it did, and it was really funny. So how
did you discover it? Did someone show it to you? Was it?
Yeah. Those mates got it. Have you seen this? I'm like, yeah. He goes, do you realise how many views this has had? I don't know, a few thousand. I was like, oh, right. Just captured.
Here's a clip here.
Yeah. That one there. He's actually done that. He's actually got his piano out and done that on the piano. It's so funny. Of course, since this came out, I've obviously done some more interviews, and I've been very, very conscious starting out the interviews what to think. You know, do I do this? I had to make a decision. Do I actually stop doing it?
Yeah.
Or do I just carry on regardless? So I have carried on regardless.
You gotta capitalize on it, man. Listen, man, you gotta bring out your own piano and keyboards, man. Or just do something, bro. Capitalize on these memes, man.
Yeah, piano tutor course. That's a great idea.
Start doing piano courses. Learn how to do piano and property. I don't know, man.
Yeah, well, I've got my own YouTube channel now. It's not anything like your followers. It's Martin Roberts Property Tidbits is what it's called. It's got lots of stuff about DIY and property ideas. Okay. But maybe I need to do a little section on there about piano playing as well.
Listen, man, capitalize, man. Get these coins, bruv. Come on, man.
Yeah, look at how many years this goes back, though. Before the beard, everything.
Now this is another meme. This is one of your colleagues, Dion Dublin. He also became a meme. Yes. I'm sure you've seen this one.
Yes.
This is top tier, man. You guys have both got good memes as well, you know. Here we go.
Stairs to the bedrooms. I'm genuinely touched that somebody goes to all the trouble of looking through these shows and taking out these little clips and putting them together. And you know, I think there's I get the feeling that there's a real warmth of towards the show. And I genuinely am proud to be part of that warmth. You know, it's lovely to get the kind of reaction we get, and especially right now. But it's, you know, basically it's shit, isn't it? And it's just so nice that maybe for an hour people could be lost, taken away from, you know, the reality of stuff at the moment, and you know, and transported into a world where, you know, presenters don't wear their coats with the right buttons in the right places, and you know, and people get involved in crazy development projects. You know, it's really great.
No, I think because anything with property and homes, it brings a side of us that we're like, oh, I could do that. Yeah. I've seen the way that they do it. I can do that. And especially with this show, that it's got. I feel like it's becoming like a little bit of a cult following. You know, some of my followers are all from around the world. They've never seen this in their country.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they watch it and they're like, whoa, I don't know what this is, but I'm invested. You know. So just before we leave, I want to show you this is one of my favorite clips, like ever, with yourself and the editor who does the music. This is definitely one of the best clips, I think, of Homes Under the Hammer. Let's see if I can just fast forward it. I don't want to make sure I've not lost it. Very short clip though. Is it that one? Or maybe it's not in there. Okay, let me see if I can find this clip, because I do have it here. Can you see this clip now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So before we go, Martin, it's been such a pleasure having you on Homes Under the Hammer Time special. Martin Roberts, the original presenter. But this clip here is one of my favorites because it's got yourself in it. You know, as I said, you're writing your own scripts. You know, you're giving us that kind of, you give us these good little breakdowns about the property and stuff. but this one is mixed with a kind of the kind of music I would listen to, right? And this is one of my favorites. So without further ado, here we go.
What's ideal? Maybe think about converting that and sticking it upstairs. Other than that, yeah, it's a skipping job.
I don't know how they do it. They live in darkened cellars and they just spend hours finding the completely randomest selections. It's brilliant.
Have you ever seen this clip before?
No, I've missed this one. It's brilliant.
So that's a skip the track, right?
Yeah.
And it's just I gotta take it back. I just gotta take it back. It's like, this is the beauty of this program, right? Because as I said, it's like you're saying, it's such a warm program, but it has real laugh out loud moments, which some people would watch and would get that, and others would it's just a piece of music, right?
Yeah.
But this one, it just,
Yeah, it's a skipping job.
Yeah, well done. They're well done.
Oh, man.
No, it's appreciated.
I've done look for it.
That, for me, is one of the most random selection of music I've ever heard on a morning or daytime TV program. So hats off to everybody involved. But honestly, Martin, like, it's such a pleasure. Just like, and we never really met in real life. This is like the first time we meet and stuff. But it's such a pleasure, man, because I proper watch the show. I'm a big fan of the show. Whenever I do TV, and they say, "What do you watch?" I said, "Homes and Hammertown." That's my vibe, man. And you guys are like the first people I often see in the morning. So I just wanted to say thanks for doing this. Like, I really appreciate your time, man. And I know I've gotten you about the button and the fashion, but honestly, it's nothing but good love and vibes, man. So
I get that, mate.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, all the very best. And like I said, you want to check out Martin Roberts' Property Tidbits. That's quite good fun as well. But I really appreciate the fact that you enjoy it. I really appreciate the fact that you take the trouble to lovingly take the mickey.
Honestly, man, I wish you so much good fortune going further with the show. Listen, man, if you guys are ever doing a live version, I'm all here for it. I'm here to watch it and keep plugging it like I do. So, as I said, thank you so much. And listen, man, and have a good lockdown, bruv, because you deserve it, bruv. You bring me a lot of joy. So I hope you get a lot of joy as well. You know what I'm saying, bruv?
Yeah, all the very best, Mo.
Wicked, man. I'm just going to stop this.